Hi, this is Dave Sepulfrick with my In Walks a Man podcast. I know I keep saying I'm going to start my life story for my podcast. I just think this is more important. I was listening to the radio the other day, and the mayor of Chicago was explaining about the shelter-in-place policy. She said the grocery stores are open, gas stations, you can go to the restaurant to pick up carry-out food, and many businesses are open. She said there's Uber drivers and Lyft drivers out there. And then she said, but I want to give a special note of thanks to the men and women of the Amalgamated Transit Union and all CTA workers for their sacrifice and service at this time. Now, I agree, and I also want to thank them for showing up for work, helping to keep the trains and buses running. But if you look at the big picture, they are getting full pay checks and health care for showing up for work. We as Uber and Lyft drivers, we're out there getting way less pay with only 1/10 of the riders we used to get. I'm making a quarter of what I normally make being out there, so I know the rest of my fellow Uber and Lyft drivers aren't making near what they usually make either. We're not getting full pay or health care, but we're still out there because, at least in my case, we know we're needed. I can see people are very appreciative when they get in my car. They know a taxi would cost them 4 or 5 times as much as an Uber or a Lyft, and that's if they show up at all. And unlike most train and bus drivers that are pretty well separated from their riders, my fellow Uber and Lyft drivers, like me, are in enclosed quarters on cold days where we can't roll down the windows with people that are sometimes sniffling and coughing, but we're still out there. At least I am. I know a lot of drivers are going to try and quit to get unemployment, but I'm going to try and stay out there driving until I absolutely can't anymore. And hopefully this ends soon. Excuse me. By the way, we're called gig workers. A gig worker is basically an independent contractor. We are not considered self-employed, so we aren't allowed the same benefits like small business loans and such. If you'd like to contact your elected officials and ask them what they're doing about keeping us on the road during these times, all of us drivers would appreciate it. Back to the mayor's speech. If the mayor doesn't think it's important to thank the rest of us, that's fine. I want to thank all my fellow Uber and Lyft drivers and all transportation workers everywhere for helping out in this situation that we're in. I'm not sure why the mayor doesn't like Uber and Lyft. I know she doesn't because she raised the rates in Chicago last summer. Again, I hate to get political, but it might be that the Amalgamated Transit Union supported her in her last election. I'm sure it's just political reasons that she's against Uber and Lyft. I just hope it doesn't include the drivers. Whatever. I really don't think the mayor remembers, before Uber and Lyft were here, how hard it was for people to get a ride in depressed and crime-ridden neighborhoods, places where even the taxis wouldn't go. I've dropped people off in Chicago day and night many times where they call ahead to have the door unlocked, and when they get out of my car, they duck and run until they get inside. And I'm not joking. My fellow drivers could tell you the same thing. It happens all the time, but we still go out there and we pick up anybody and everybody without even knowing where we're going until they get in our car and we flip that switch. I know they appreciate it. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm not getting into politics. I'm sure she has her reasons for specifically emphasizing one union. I know she runs a tough ship, and I know I could get in trouble for saying anything because she seems to be a person who relies on the old political ways of berating people, anybody that has a different opinion or doesn't agree with her. Maybe she just forgot to thank us and the rest of the transportation industry. Or maybe we're just an afterthought. Again, whatever. The main thing is we're not working for the mayor. We're working for our families and our riders. We know our riders have to get to work. They have to get to the store. They have to take their kids to a babysitter. And the fact they appreciate us, that's one of the reasons, at least for me, to keep going out there. And I want our riders in Chicago and everywhere in the world to know we appreciate them. And we'll do our best to get them where they have to be. And one last thing about the safety of getting into an Uber or Lyft. The main reason these people in the news that get assaulted is because they don't check to see if it's a real Uber or Lyft driver. I've had several times where in downtown Naperville, at the end of the night, women would just open my door while I'm sitting at a stoplight and say, "Take me home." The first one I told politely that I wasn't her driver, and she said, "Take me home anyway." I said, "You need to get out of my car and make sure you get in the right one next time." But I doubt she even heard me. I don't care how drunk you are. Don't be stupid. So the next 3 times, I put the fear of God in them. I started yelling at them, saying, "What the hell are you doing getting in my car? I have no idea who you are. I could be somebody who would drive off with you and assault you, and nobody's ever going to see you again. Get the F out of my car," and stuff like that, until they finally looked like they woke up enough to realize what they did. The fact is, if you look at the assaults, most of them were by people who weren't even drivers. In 2019, Uber alone had 3.9 million drivers in the world, and they gave over 14 million rides. Excuse me. And since its inception, Uber has given over 10 billion rides. Billion. In my 3.5 years, I'm close to 17,000 rides. So if you look at the big picture, the assaults are very minimal. No profession in the whole world has a perfect record involving assaults. The main thing is always check your driver's license plate and make sure the picture fits the driver. Like I said in my podcast, I've had many struggles in my life and survived all of them so far. We just have to hang in there and take it one day at a time. And if you need help, reach out to these places that the government is telling you is there to help you. It may take a while to get through, but keep trying. Even if you don't trust the government, it's an election year. And that means you have at least until November for them to help you. And by the way, I don't care who you pray to. Just pray we get out of this soon. The next episode, I'll have a health update on me, and hopefully I'll start my story because I really want to get that finished before anything happens. So, thanks. Stay safe. Stay apart. Take care and share. Bye.